So I'm going to show you how to draft a jockstrap pouch. First, we start with drawing a rectangle. The width of the rectangle is 8% of your hip circumference, and the vertical length is 15% of your hip circumference. This is just a kind of commercial kind of size that I like to use that grades really well and fits all body types. And then we're going to divide vertically into 4 sections. And this is what I'm doing here with the pen tool. You can do it on pencil and paper too, just as easily. And we use that to cut up the rectangle into smaller pieces. We now take each section and rotate it 10 degrees. You can use a set measurement. I like degrees because it is kind of more consistent and it grades better. The top one, I'm just doing 5 degrees. It's just so it has a little bit of curve. Now we're going to extend the bottom line of the rectangle and we're going to rotate a line 15 degrees out from the kind of center front line of the rectangle. This is just to add a little bit more curve over the pouch. And we're also going to draw another line which is 90 degrees to that center front guideline, just so that we can have a nice curve on the waistband and everything's looking pretty. I'm taking my pen tool and just tracing out the jockstrap shape and then using the handles and anchors to curve everything in a kind of really nice, beautiful way. As you can see. And now I delete all those guidelines because I don't need them no more. I make sure to add my grain line in it. This is just so that it sits nicely and so that I've permanently got that now for grading and everything else. We're going to add seam allowance, 1 centimetre all around the pouch. And we're going to do it again and add elastic allowance at the top so that when we need to add elastic to remove it for the waistband, it's there. I like to keep everything visual, seam allowances and everything, so that I know what I'm doing. We're now just tweaking the label and putting it in place. Make sure to have your name, your date, and your size. Now we're going to talk about alterations, how to make it bigger or smaller. So what I'm doing is at the kind of apex of the curve, I'm drawing a slash line towards the leg line so that I can tweak the kind of volume that the pouch will hold. We're going to go with a larger size first. So what I'm going to do is rotate the piece along the leg line. And in this example, I'm going to do it at 1.5 centimeters of a wedge in it. And what this does is it allows more vertical length along the package, but for just a little bit side to side across the package, we're going to just extend it a little bit by eye. I'm now going to select both of those edges and I am going to average them so that they kind of sit in the middle. I'm going to go around and correct my curves and delete all the excess curve points so that the curve stays beautifully curved, and that's the finished larger one. Now, in the opposite direction, we're going to go for a little bit less volume. We're staying with the same slash line. And what we're going to do is just overlap it a little bit. Rather than opening it, we're just going to overlap it a tiny bit. We don't need to go too far because it is easier to just flatten the curve than to have to retrace and redo all of these parts again. And I'm joining the piece, I'm cutting it and deleting all the extra anchor points. When you do this on paper, it's the same deal, just curve it and make it look nice. Now I'm just going to line the pieces all up so that I can show you the kind of differences that has happened between them. Now we're just turning on the original one, making sure that I don't have my cut line in it, and aligning them. You can kind of see how the larger one hooks around more and the smaller volume is just a little bit shorter and a little bit less volume. I'm just tweaking the handle to even less volume just to give you an idea. Grading, here we are. I have set up my piece with a horizontal and vertical line to just show that the middle point is basically what I like to do is just 5% per size. Scale the whole piece 5% per size from the base size. So each one you consecutively go 5, 105, 110, 115, 120%, or you go down to 95, 90, 85 for the smaller sizes. This whole piece can be graded in about 2 minutes, and I'm just showing you kind of the layout and where everything sits. But for all of those who do manual grading, this is the way to do it. I've added the coordinates and how much we need to add on each line. And essentially what you do is you just cut apart your piece, or you can shift and move it around on a piece of paper. Horizontally, we're going 5.4 millimeters per size, and vertically, we're going 7.7 millimeters per size. I extrapolated that from the proportional grading that I was doing, just so that it gives you a better idea of how it's done. And still staying with the same proportion. You can also do it this way on the computer. I don't enjoy it as much, but it's doable. So we're adding all the vertical links first before we start shifting the pieces horizontally. All the vertical are again 7.7 millimeters up, and horizontally we're going 5.4 millimeters per size. And this is a little bit messy looking, but you can kind of get an idea of how the pieces all line up. I'm going to delete the internal lines, which makes it a lot clearer. And if you're doing this on paper, you just blend those lines and make it look beautiful. But what I'm doing, because we're on the computer, we are averaging each point. I added an extra point on the middle section so the curves don't change too much. But we just averaging each point and then going through and deleting them when we've got our beautiful curves in place and everything's looking snatched instead of janky, which it does at first. And now you can see they're all joined. I'm just going through, holding shift and minus to delete any of the anchor points without changing the lines too much. It does happen a little bit, but just to make a beautiful curve. And I hope this makes sense. I'm just lining up all those handles so that curve on the leg line just blends beautifully. And there we go. Have a fun.